Fear not, denizens, parade is here, aka the bringer of rain, aka father of the sea and sun, aka king of the core. And today we have a very awesome conversation for you, a full spoiler review on Furiosa, and I have none other than the Fan Awakens host, Eli. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm excited for this. When you were doing your intro there,
Yeah.
I wanted to have that chrome spray to just and just like, yeah, it's time. I'm coming to Valhalla. No, I'm great. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, of course,
excited
man.
to talk about Furiosa.
I know I don't get many opportunities to talk to people about movies anymore, and you're the first person I think about when it comes to movies because you're like the cinema king. You watch everything. You have great taste in movies, and I love hearing your opinions on them. Before we start, fit check.
Yeah.
What you rocking today?
So this is gonna be pretty common because I literally love this shirt so much that I will probably buy a second one just to have in rotation between washes. I still got that Senate shirt, man. I'm rocking it everywhere.
Yeah.
It is my favorite shirt. I have bought glasses to specifically go with it at their coming, but yeah.
Nice.
So that's rancor.com. The Senate is my go-to tee.
Yeah. rancorclothing.com. I'm rocking a Rancor shirt too. The Santa Cruz Rancor shirt. You know, we're here at the summers. We're talking about summer movies, and if you guys want to get into the summer shirt line, you can find these shirts, the ones that I'm wearing, the one that Eli's wearing, on rancorclothing.com. You can find it in the description. That helps support the channel, support me. But yeah, and stickers coming soon. We might do some stickers of the shirts too. Let's see, what else do we got? Before we start, make sure you like this video, subscribe, because we're going to be doing a lot of content. June is going to be packed with a bunch of things. You'll probably see me and Eli meeting again, talking about The Acolyte. We're going to be probably talking about Game of Thrones, upcoming movies, and possibly The Boys. So much is coming out this summer. It's going to be insane. It's going to be super insane. But today we're talking about Furiosa. I saw it on Thursday night. When did you see it, Eli?
Saw it on Friday night.
Okay. They have the small video of me talking about it, and I had some time to think about it some more, but I want to get your thoughts on Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga.
Absolutely. So I did just rewatch Mad Max about 2 hours ago.
Nice.
So it's very fresh in my mind.
Good.
As far as Furiosa goes, my expectations were kind of all over the place during the ramping up to the movie. At first, the first trailer, like, I'm curious about the story. I love George Miller. I think that Anya Taylor-Joy is great and all that. I just wasn't sure. Like, I was almost getting Hobbit vibes from the presentation of it at first. And I'm like, oh man, I hope this isn't. It just looked kind of volumey to me.
Yeah.
And I got this like sort of pit in my stomach, like, oh, this might be really bad. And I'm happy to report that I thought it was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much exactly how I want a prequel to be. I think a lot of times that there's so many things that can go wrong with a prequel. Casting could be wrong, which happens often, where you just don't buy the person as a character. The story could be rather inconsequential and not add much to the characters at all. And I thought this movie did add to Furiosa quite a bit. In Fury Road, it is very action, go, come back, and like it's awesome. But it is more of like it's great world, stunt showcase, all that kind of thing. But I do think that Furiosa moved at a different pace. And I think that there was, although it never stalled or anything, it was rather epic as far as telling her story from her childhood up to kind of where we know her. And I thought that it covered a lot of things that I just didn't, I wouldn't have known. There was a lot of secrecy in her, from Fury Road, I guess, or a lot of things to be filled in.
Right.
I thought it was pretty awesome. I dug the movie. It's in my top 5 of the year, probably.
I know, and we're halfway through already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I only watched the first trailer, and what happens is these movie dates and release dates sneak up on me. Like, The Acolyte is pretty much sneaking up on me, even though I did the trailer reaction. That was actually the first video I did here in the channel. It's already started already. It was like 2 months ago. But I only watched the first trailer, and I love Mad Max Fury Road. It was one of my favorite movies, and I can't believe it was like 9 years ago, which is insane.
I know.
And I think it still holds up. I don't remember the last time. Maybe last year I watched it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it again before Furiosa, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I feel like if I did, it would be more of an expectation, and putting them side by side, like,
Sure.
and be real scrutiny. And I think my score on it would have been lower because how much I actually like the movie. But one thing that I said in my previous review, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be there, was the intensity of having a character that you know that's going to survive into the next movie. Because when you're watching a prequel movie like this, Furiosa survives into Fury Road, so she's not going to die.
Furiosa had a twin. No, yeah.
Or somehow Furiosa came back. Right?
Okay.
What kind of technology in this world? We don't know. Yeah, there it is. So I was glad that when those moments are happening where she's in danger, I was genuinely scared, like, for her safety, and the people around her, and going off of the prequelness of it, I think they did it right as a prequel. I was invested as I was watching it, and I was having a great time, and I felt like this is one of those movies where, because the Mad Max movies are also different from each other, and this one is, since it's a prequel, I'll just say a direct sequel to that movie.
Sure.
As a continuation. I feel like, we might have a franchise here. But I don't know if we'll ever get Tom Hardy back or Charlize Theron back for, like, another one. So I would love to see more movies. I really like George Miller here, because I think he makes great movies. And even the creativity that he has and the way he shoots it, it's beautiful. But I agree with you. It did feel volumey. And I'm not sure if you said that for the trailer, but there was some scenes I was like, it doesn't look right. Something is off. And I know he has that certain style where, like, the frame rates will change. I don't think it was as impactful as it was in Fury Road, because I think it felt a little overused in this movie. But let me know if you disagree with that or not.
Yeah, I mean, I just, like, literally just rewatched Fury Road, right?
Yeah.
And there's a few, like, key differences. Just the color palette of the film is a little bit different. It's a little lighter, which kind of, I don't know if it's because they shot more on location than in this movie, because there was certainly more of that volumey kind of feel, which I kind of put aside pretty early watching Furiosa.
Okay.
I also think that it enhances Fury Road a lot, which is great, because there's so many things in Fury Road that we just have to kind of accept. Bullet Farm and Gas Town, like, they're just there. It's like, okay, we got these cool other similar factions, they all kind of work together. But in this, we learn so much more of that lore. And I think that Furiosa did a great job of that. I also think that although there's not as much there's more story to Furiosa, I would say, than to Mad Max Fury Road.
Right.
But with that, I think that they really did show sort of the unforgiving nature of the desert really well, and I didn't expect that. Like, things just happen, and they move on as quick as the dust covers the tracks.
Yeah.
Which I really dug that part of it. The movie kept moving, so I do think that overall it didn't look as like a physical, or like I don't know how to say this, but I think they shot it better without using that sort of wonky green screen or whatever they used, blue screen, that you can tell this is clearly obviously on a soundstage or something, or wherever the case they are. I don't know, but
so
I
do
do think that
Furiosa was kind of shot more CG, or what?
Certainly.
Okay,
Like, when I mean, Mad Max Fury Road came out in 2015, right? When they drive into the sandstorm, I'm sure you remember that scene. I was just watching it.
Yeah.
And it looks great. It doesn't look it doesn't look very, like, CG-ish. It looks great.
Right,
Obviously it's CG, duh. But it just seems, I don't know if it was a budget thing or more time thing. I honestly think it was just a stylistic thing.
That's what I was gonna say too, yeah.
Which is totally fine with me, and that's why I think it bothers me less than, say, something like, it's very different, but like The Hobbit, where if you watch Lord of the Rings and then you watch The Hobbit, that's pretty jarring.
Yeah,
100%. And it wasn't quite that for me.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, because it does feel, what's the word? The cinematography feels a little bit different.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it. Yes.
where when I think of Fury Road, because I didn't watch it today,
Sure.
it does feel grand and big. This one felt kind of more zoomed in on that bigger
Yeah.
picture, and the style is still there, but it doesn't feel like a one-to-one. If you would have told me George Miller didn't do it and he just like consulted on it or was a producer on it, I'd be like, okay, that's why it doesn't feel exactly like Fury Road. But again, we almost a decade has passed, so and it's hard to think it has because Fury Road doesn't even feel that long ago. It feels like
I know.
it feels like it just came out right before COVID, but it didn't. But it feels like it did.
That's staying power, man. That thing had an impact.
It did.
I also think that one of the reasons I think I was able to get past that is that there was still so much of this movie was physical, practical sets,
Right.
and they had physical, tangible things to interact with, which is something I've talked about a bunch.
Yeah.
But I love when characters actually have things they can interact with, and it's not all CG,
Right.
and like just little like tennis ball props and stuff.
Sure.
Because I think there is something to that, especially in a movie like this where it takes place in this unforgiving desert. There is something to being able to see the grit and the grime and to the different props they're using. So I think that was enough. The sand was everywhere. The characters were dirty. Like
Yeah.
it all still felt like we're in this wasteland.
What was your favorite part of the movie?
It's hard to go against that big action set piece on the war rig. That was pretty fantastic, and
Was
like
like
that's
second
kind
act?
of what the big when when she stowed away.
Yeah.
She
Oh, so
stowed
yeah,
away
yeah, yeah.
on the rig. That was pretty great. Like that stuff, they had a lot of that kind of stuff in Fury Road, and like there was more constant action around the rig in Fury Road, I
Right.
suppose. But that went on for so long,
Yeah.
and it felt like we got to watch them assemble this rig,
Right.
and then we got to see each part of it in use and
Yeah.
like the thought behind it, and then watching Fury Road later today and seeing sort of the differences between them, right, was great. I also think that they made the War Boys a lot cooler in this movie.
Yeah.
Personally, I think they added to them in a way
Yeah.
that Fury Road they were clearly devoted, if you want to say that. But this one, I feel like they did add to the I don't know, sort of the danger of them. I thought they were a little bit more unhinged in this one.
Yeah, I think real quick because I also agree that the stowaway is the one that sticks out in my mind as my favorite
Yeah.
part of the movie. But let me talk about the War Boys really quick. I think what's interesting about this iteration of the War Boys is they're more serious and stoic, but that devout will give our lives. The scene where he
Yeah.
goes and then he just like and then just explodes himself. That was awesome. And when they're up top and they're just all serious, that goofiness and that asylum-esque insanity that they have in Fury Road, it feels like two different versions of them.
It
And I
does.
think I prefer this kind of like cultish seriousness about them that they're because even when he was like point one out, I was like, are we gonna get like a one-on-one fight scene with somebody?
Yeah, I thought so too.
But I was like, this is awesome. And then even that scene was cool because then they just like the cranes start just scooping up all the bikes. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. But the war rig, question for you. It's not the same one they're not, because it got exploded in Bullet Town. Right?
Yeah, it got
So
exploded, but like you can see that like it's the same. They're going for the same. It's a war rig. They're all
they're all similar.
put together similarly, and
Yeah.
they have the same functionality. But obviously, one had an oil tanker on the back. It didn't have that. I forget what they called it.
Yeah, the
They
spinning
had a
propeller
goofy
thing.
name for it, but I just think that this world is super rich. I'm really impressed. Like watching Fury Road, I love the movie, Furiosa, but I love it even more after watching Fury Road again.
Oh, nice.
And I think I love Fury Road even more, which is crazy because I didn't know I could.
Yeah, they both definitely
That was-
enhance each other. Because back to your other point about seeing or hearing about Bullet Farm and Gastown, when I
Yeah,
watched Fury Road, I was like, "Ooh, I want to know more about what's going on in those places." And I'm glad that we get to see them and have a little bit more time. But I wanted to spend more time there. If we were gonna, with the longer, a 2.5, almost 2.5 hour movie, I could have used a couple more minutes of what was going on in Bullet Town, the Bullet Farm and Gastown, just
Yeah.
to kind of feel more enriched in the world. Because we did get some time there, but I kind of wanted to see more how it functions. Like, I kind of want to see more of the people having to gather whatever materials they would need. I'm guessing like some kind of, you know, gunpowder or something. You know.
Yeah, I think. See, I think I got the answer for this.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I do think the pace is super important to these movies.
Yes.
They gotta move. Like they move, they move, they move. Especially Fury Road, but even Furiosa, it moves pretty quick.
Right.
Um,
It does.
series Bullet Farm, a Mad Max series coming to you on HBO Max.
Well, they called it a saga, so it was, but I could see what you're saying. It's like we'll get those little bullet.
I
farm.
can already see that, like, especially when you look at like where the characters end up in Fury Road and who's where, and like I'm forgetting his name, but the guy with the golden nose, he ends up running Bullet Farm, no, Gastown,
Gastown, yeah.
He ends up running Gastown, so like I'm sure there's a story there on how he gets to there, and it feels like a Penguin thing to me, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
in the Penguin series. But you're right. I think that, and that may be a good thing for them. Keep the intrigue.
Yeah.
We learned a bit more.
Learned a little bit more.
Lore.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if they have like comic books, and I know there's not like a ton of source material for it either. So they have room. There's room to kind of grow if they want to branch out. But yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. There wasn't a point where I checked my phone to see what, like, okay, where are we at?
Sure.
Because I was just deeply enthralled in it.
Yeah, they keep things moving.
I have a question for you. I did use the bathroom. I had to in the third act.
Oh man!
And so I was like, I can't, because I think I had to use the bathroom for Napoleon, and I was dying, and I was like, I need to go. So it's like this time I was like, okay, let me just run really quick. And there's literally a bathroom stall.
Not be miserable.
Yeah. And I was like, there's a bathroom stall right outside the door. So I maybe missed 3 minutes. I did like fast, wash my hands, and ran back in, right? Could you tell me, and if you can remember, it was basically the scene where they're, I don't know, I might cut this out just explaining my bathroom. Leave for the bathroom. But they were in he was in the trench, and there was like, it looked like kind of gas oil, and it was right before like the narration for the war thing. Did they explain what happened to Morton Joe or why the Bullet Farm guy can't see anymore? Because they said it was like during the narration of the 40-day war.
40-day war?
Yeah. And if you can't, that's totally fine. Because when I came back in, Furiosa was like shaving her head, building that arm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the tough part with it. That's a great time to go to the restroom, to be honest. Because like it is kind of montage of like a war going on. I don't specifically remember them showing.
Did they show what happened to like a Morton Joe? Because he's not in he's not in the movie after that.
He isn't. But I think maybe he, and I have no idea. I don't remember a specific thing there.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe he just didn't want to go out there and risk his life when there's like an actual war and not just like, let me chase this guy down. I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't think they specifically said anything. I just remember Furiosa said, you know, if you find him, he's mine.
I saw that part.
Yep. Montage. Yeah. They chase in. Morton Joe was driving out to fool them, and then he came back, and then next thing we know, it's like in the war.
Okay, so Morton Joe went out, but we don't get to see anything.
Did he even go out? They might have just been using his car. Damn. Sorry, I gotta think.
Yeah, because so what I saw was the end of the narration of them saying it was like a bloody war or whatever.
Okay, so you saw that up to there.
Yeah, people were like, they were like teeth for teeth, blood for blood, or whatever. And then I walked in and she was building. She's like, I need a car.
Okay.
Then they built the car.
Yeah,
but it was like right before that. Dude, it was fast. I was like surprised. I feel like I missed a lot.
That's a very small window. Good job, man.
Yeah, because it was like he like they were like sneaking their way through the trench was what Hemsworth was doing, and I was like, okay, there to there.
That was really smart. I was like, that's clever. When I was watching it, that stuck with me.
Well, what was it? I don't know. I didn't even understand.
Well, they're just
because they blew up Gastown.
Well, they were wetting the sand, you know, so they couldn't see them coming and all. And I was just like,
oh,
yeah. So they had one rig up front so that they can transport everyone and think, oh, they're at Gastown, but they're trying to sneak up, so they're wetting the sand so it's not blowing up when they're driving. And they're like, oh, look, they're going to Gastown, but they were doing and it's so smart, so clever, as writing it. The exact opposite thing by only driving a few cars with a rake on the back, kicking up the dirt. So they're both parallel, doing the opposite thing to trick each other.
Okay, see that's what I missed then.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So Morton's basically Furiosa was like, yeah, they're not at Gastown. They're not
Right, she
there.
says
They're
that.
coming to
Yeah.
us. And then they're like, okay, well, blah 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 blah. Mastermind trickery, whatever. We're gonna fool them. So they're like, we're gonna fool Morton. We're gonna wet this dirt and we're gonna drive
Oh,
slowly through it
interesting.
so they don't see us coming. Because if you drive through the dirt, you see the big old smoke. And
Oh.
Morton's like, we're gonna drive there and make them think we have a convoy by raking up all this sand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it was a nice like
Oh.
parallel. And I remember sitting there, and I don't want to say this took me out of it in a bad way, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, that's pretty clever. That's
Yeah, because like you can
pretty good stuff.
see the like war strategies each of them,
Yeah,
or the intelligence each of them possess, and I think there's a great part to segue into Chris Hemsworth, because when I'm watching these movies, you get a lot of people who are unintelligent and
yeah,
they're mentally unstable, and because of the world they live in and grew up in, right? It's just crazy, and obviously you're not just going to be a normal person here. Um, and I remember conversations about Dementis. They're like, oh, he might be just like a Morton Joe. And
sure.
watching this movie, it didn't feel like that. And
No,
even in the movie, when they're both there, they parallel to each other where they're different. So it's like a Morton Joe. I love it. I love this too, because in Fury Road, he is at a heightened anger level and aggressive because someone took what is his. Where
yeah,
in
yeah,
this one, he seems more. He's like reading the room. He's understanding like, okay, there's this little girl in front of me, and who is this girl? Tell me your daughter. Like he's analyzing things, and you kind of see more of the analytical version of him. And speaking of, we'll probably get into Morton Joe prequel movie.
we probably will.
I thought we
Played
were gonna get
by,
in this. Honestly, I thought we were gonna get into Morton Joe
yeah.
origin story, but I really like what Chris Hemsworth did. What did you think of Chris Hemsworth roles Dementis?
I can't speak enough about Chris Hemsworth. I really like every time I see him in a one he can do a lot. He's
Yeah,
kind of sneaky. He can do a lot.
yeah,
I think he was awesome because I think
same.
this role is so easy to overact or overplay. And like now, and I'm not trying to talk anything bad about anyone here, but I imagine like a Jared Leto or someone in that role, and I can
Mm,
imagine it just going too heightened, the
yeah,
wrong direction. I think Chris has a way of being, I mean, there's a goofiness to his character, right?
sure.
But he keeps it grounded, and like he's very good at making these very very small inflections and things that I do feel like they kind of touch on it with the teddy bear and
Yeah,
like his family that was lost, or whoever he lost.
yeah,
I thought he's great. I thought he was great. We've seen him play a villain before, but he doesn't. He's a huge movie star,
yeah,
very handsome. Obviously, usually that's the hero.
yeah.
He just seems very game. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like he fit this well. So I'm a big fan. I think he killed it. Memorable, but
Yes.
wasn't overly goofy, which is so easy to do with someone like this. So I dug it.
Yeah, it kind of towed the line, right?
It did. It did.
And what I think what I said previously in my previous review was you kind of have to have that goofiness to
Yeah,
fit into this dark world,
I agree.
because it's really messed up. There's a lot of
It
messed
is.
up things that
It
happen
is. Yeah.
here. And if this movie was completely serious, it would be so dark. I'm not sure if it would like hit the road levels, but it's pretty close, of just like there's they can't even show some of the stuff that they do here.
No.
Like when they have everyone on the motorcycles
Oh
and they're
yeah.
pulling people apart and it's like a dust cloud. And I'm like, okay, it's more of what our imagination is filling in the blanks, which I think is very smart.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of scenes like that in this movie where it's like,
It's brutal.
it's like, talk about Praetorian Jack getting drug, and then the dogs
Oh my
are
gosh.
eating him too while he's getting
Dude.
drug. And even though they're
Yeah.
not really showing anything, your mind goes, "There's dogs eating this man as he's getting drugged
Yes.
alive."
Yes, I'm like that is so cruel. They are. I mean, and the thing with that goes back to like how I loved how brutal and unforgiving it was. Like even when we obviously know she's gonna lose part of her arm
Yes.
at some point. When that happened, it's just and I'm like, and that was it. I'm just like,
And she
like,
still
they
had
don't,
it
like,
attached too.
yes, but I knew that was like the precursor for
Right.
whatever is gonna happen.
Yeah, because they zoom in on it, and yeah.
And I'm just like, but it was so quick, and it just happened, and it like I'm like, and then they keep moving. They keep moving.
They keep moving.
They don't. No one's wiping your tears. Nobody's like it. It is ruthless. She's like has this relationship with Praetorian Jack. Was that what it was?
Yeah, Praetorian Jack. Yeah. Tom.
And then he's just taken. He's just gone. He's just like you see it, and it's like man.
And what a I think the word's allegory for how important your arm is in a kind of world like this.
Yeah.
And in a flash, it's gone. And then in another flash, the person you've building this bond with, because they spent, I mean, essentially they probably spent years together here doing him teaching her.
I'm curious how long it was, but yeah, it was
teaching
long
her,
enough
teaching her how to be a better shot, a better driver, all these things, and not having anyone on her side. She's been technically alone this whole time, in the Citadel. And for that just to get ripped from you, and it was crazy because they thought they were out. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm like, obviously she's not gonna get out because again, Fury Road. And when you fall in love, it's like these things are gonna get ripped of you, so it's better not to. But like they had the bikes on the car, they had a good plan. And then when they pulled up to the gate at Bullet Farm, I'm like, there's nobody there because they intentionally show the scene of Bullet Farm and people are like, like, welcome.
Yeah,
I would have known before the gate opened that there was something wrong. And so I don't know how they didn't see that, but maybe they were too, and I guess you could say they were too focused in on their plan, right? Because he had a warboy driving for them to notice. But what a build up to that scene. In that part of the movie, which was also fantastic.
Also, we're a good ways into this. I want to just say, like, Anya Taylor-Joy is great. I think that Furiosa is a character that, like, she's loved. You know what I mean? Like, she is Charlize Theron. It's a pretty great character.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot with a little. There's not much dialogue. It's a lot of physical acting.
Right.
And I bought her. I bought her as a character. I think that is pretty great. Even watching Fury Road again, I'm like, man, I can see, it feels like I'm getting a full scope of the character. It's not like I'm going to use the example again because I didn't think of another one. And it's not to say it's the same thing. It's not a 1-to-1 match, but like just as an example, because I think a lot of people have seen it. When you look at Han Solo, just an example in the Solo movie, I don't see like, oh, that's Han Solo. He had 2 hours, and it's not his fault, but I didn't see Han Solo. With Donald Glover playing Lando, I did see Lando. So, like, sometimes you just get casting right, but I think it's also different because you have to cast someone who can do a lot with a little, and I think she did great. They look similar enough, but just the energy of the character was really good. I love the third act, just her chasing down... Dementis. It's all very good. I felt like the character kind of built up to this point. We got to see the things that led her to this point, being able to do what she did, and that's not always the case. Yeah. So I thought 2 thumbs up for Anya. In my dumb brain, I'm like, oh yeah, she's like the Charmeleon version, the Charizard version. We get a Furiosa if we go back to like a Pokemon, like we see the 3 stages. Like she does the fit right there. Stages of evolution.
Yeah, she fits right there in the middle. Shout out to Elia Brown, I think is her name, the youngest version of Furiosa.
Yeah.
I thought she was great. I didn't understand though why she felt compelled to go to touch their bikes.
So at first, I thought that too, until her mom was chasing her and she said, no one can live who sees this because they'll get back to where they're going. So she did. At first I was like, what are you doing?
I see.
But then she's like, she knows apparently that she can't let these people make it out of here.
Yeah, the priority.
I think she was planning a sabotaging and then calling her mom.
Yeah.
Or whoever to.
Yeah, because the priority is no one leaves over even their own lives, which was cool because she was down to clown when it was like, don't talk to anybody.
Dude, never budged.
Never budged, man.
She was a mute. She's like, yeah, she's a mute.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man, that's dedication.
I mean, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could do that. That was insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, the actress and the actress who played her mom, they were great.
So good.
I love the scene to scene of like taking one out at a time. I love that. Like, snipe this guy. All right, well, we're gonna drive up, snipe the next guy, and then just like they're almost at the camp, Dementis camp, and even the guys driving. We're like, we're almost there. Like all that build up.
Yeah. There's like such an energy to this movie, and I don't want to like. I know it's easy to sound like, oh, he just loves everything. I don't have like a thing to hearken on really.
Yeah.
Even like when she's running after them, she parks the bike and runs to get a vantage point.
Yeah.
It feels like each step she's taking is kind of frantic. Like she's going, like it's important, and I feel that. And it just feels nice to go to a movie and feel like, each scene, each movement, they all matter. Like it feels like they're meticulous in all these things, which you would expect from George Miller, but director of Happy Feet. But
yeah.
Those things, it's a pretty great thing when every facet of the movie for the most part feels like it was intentional.
Yeah, and then in the third act, going back to what you were saying, they flip it, and she's going after Dementis in the same way.
Yeah.
Where he's on the run. And I thought that was cool. And again, them splitting up the group, because I thought that too. I'm like, well, do you go left, do you go right, or do you go for the group? Obviously, you go for the group because it's 3. There's more likely he's there. But for her to kind of wrap herself around to get back to everybody else and kill them would be awesome.
And it's full circle. You're right. It feels good, man.
Yeah, it's so creative. Let me go back to the Praetorian rig, or not? Was it called the Praetorian rig? The war rig. And,
yeah.
The design of it, because we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to go back. The panels that flip down for platforms on the side was awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
Using almost every bit of the rig to have a scene in was so cool, because it's like, okay, you're gonna do the truck, inside the truck, but then like underneath, like her having the motorcycle underneath, and then the mechanic going under there to fix something and not even notice her, right? Because he's worried about his own safety and fixing it. And then when he falls, he grabs on. He's like, I'm just grabbing onto dear life, and somebody's down there.
Hose. Here's the hose.
Yeah, like here, I'm gonna die, but here. And then even inside of the tanker, and you're like, okay, it's food. And then like the back with the spinning,
that flail thing.
Yeah. And then like the harpoons and the guns on it too. It's like there's like, again, there's a dystopian society. Resources are limited. Oh, even the fire, the P-boys putting their urine.
And it was awesome.
Who thinks about that?
There's so much about this thing though. Even like the coordination of honking the horn, and them they all died. Replenish. Car pulls up front. Go on, ride the stick to get onto it. It was just very well blocked out. It's still well planned, and you're right. It felt like every little thing had a use. Everything had a use. Everything was there for a reason. But just the coordination and like, they're like, oh, he's lucky. He goes on the Fury Road and he always comes back, and you kind of see like how much there is to it. Yeah. And it's not just like a bunch of dumb luck. Like there's so much to it, right? And most aren't lucky because they're red shirts, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Shout out Star Trek, but it was really cool.
Yeah, when he said like I have to build another crew, and start over, like all my crew's dead, and I'm like, oh yeah, you got to train people to understand this coordination, because again, like you said, there's the honking of the horn. He's looking in the mirrors. He's a great shot, by the way, too. Just boom, boom, boom. And how long that scene lasts. It's a long scene.
A long scene.
And then I wish I remembered the character that was in Dementis' group who makes this little offset group. But even the creativity on his part, they have like parachutes and and grappling hooks, with the motorcycles. Oh, and they even like skated on the like.
They had so much going on.
I was like, dude, this is creative. I just love the creativity here.
Very creative.
Because in Fury Road, it didn't feel like this. Where they had stuff where it was like, okay, the guys are up top and they're higher and they could throw the things down. Like that seems like hitting two rocks together, big stick, little stick kind of thing, like to
Boomsticks,
me,
yep.
yeah, like that does. But the creativity of this group was at another level, and then Praetorian Jack and his mechanic building this war rig, they were on another level too. And so I felt like the intellect of these two groups were a little bit higher than what we've seen in Fury Road, but that's just me. I don't know if that's actually true because I haven't watched Fury Road in a while.
And you know what? With Fury Road, I mean, I agree. I think Fury Road is still awesome.
Top
Super
notch.
super creative too. But you're right. They did expand on like the sort of cobbled together technology that they're using, and you're right. They all have a thought in mind. Like those kites and things are made for this kind of purpose. Like they're making. It's not just like, oh hey, let's just make some stuff and maybe we'll use it. Like they are purposeful. I just think it was really good how everything had a use, right? But beyond that, like when you're navigating the rig, it feels like so much. I know it's like I mean, it's a big truck and
Yeah.
there's two trailers, but it's like you're having a 20-minute long scene or whatever, and you're moving back and forth this truck, and it feels like there's something new every time.
Right.
Which is fantastic, and also just like the choreography of it all. And I
Yeah.
saw some behind the scenes stuff. I try not to watch that until I see a movie,
Hmm.
but I saw some stuff of just like Anya Taylor-Joy like kind of navigating around the thing, and some of the stunt workers navigating around the thing, and it seemed like a lot. And I'm gonna throw in a movie I actually don't like. I know I said love, love, love this
Yeah. Yeah.
video,
Yeah.
Roadhouse. Didn't like it at all. Felt very odd.
Are you
But
talking about the
it's like
newest one, right? The Jake
I
Gyllenhaal.
love the old one actually,
Oh, the
but
old one's amazing.
yeah, it's they CGI'd like all the punches. They did nothing real, and like it's the antithesis of this movie. It's ridiculous, and I always see commercials for it still, and I'm
Yeah.
like, man, like they had fighters in the movie and they couldn't punch.
Good
And like in
marketing
this
budget.
movie, everybody is moving, everybody's on set. Like the stunt work in this, I saw The Fall Guy, loved it. These two movies, I would love to see them duke it out for an Oscar. There's not an Oscar
There's-
yet for stunt work, but it would be an awesome debate. Like
Yeah.
you could go back and forth. So I hope that changes one day. But
What did you think of Praetorian Jack?
it's fine. It's fine. I think that he was good. He was good. I like this character. I think that he built up Furiosa in ways that like you needed someone to teach her these things because
Oh, that's true.
he's like the Yoda, if you will. There'll be one, I guess. Sure, we don't see them actively like training,
Sure.
but you buy it. You see
Yeah.
what he can do. He takes her in, time jump. It makes sense that they'd both be able to do this stuff. But I bought their relationship. I was always one thing that I liked is I was always kind of nervous, skeptical, even once they were like together. I'm like, I don't trust him, and that's just the world they've built. I don't like.
Oh, sure.
It's so hard to trust anyone.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't trust him.
Yeah.
But who played him, by the way?
His name's Tom Burke. I haven't seen him in
Burke.
anything. You know who was supposed to play him though? Did you?
Who?
Yahya Mateen.
Oh
Abdul
yeah,
Mateen
yeah, I
was
love that.
supposed to-
Yeah. But I think this was a great.
Yeah, I don't know how much different it would have felt with him there. I
Yeah.
think it would have definitely felt different. But I do like Tom Burke's iteration of it. I mean, what he gave us on screen. I think it did feel like we had a Mad Max in the movie.
It did certainly. Yeah. I remember the little, yeah.
But I don't think I needed that Mad Max cameo. By the way,
No, I didn't either.
I was like, what was
I
that?
didn't
Because I was like, did he bring her back to the Citadel? That doesn't make any sense either. Because
It's a
she
little,
passes out in the desert, and then the next scene she's
just
in
like eating a sandwich, whatever the hell he's doing.
yeah, eating a lizard sandwich.
Yeah.
But I like Praetorian Jack. I think I was surprised we got a love interest because I didn't feel like a love interest would be necessary. I think the teacher route was best. I mean,
See, my thing with the love interest thing too, though, is I agree. I don't think we need a love interest for this kind of movie, but it was also understated enough that like there wasn't like some unnecessary sex scene or like
Right.
they weren't like
Which I thought they were
having
gonna do
some
too.
Anakin Padme romp in like a hot spring.
yeah,
It was very subdued and like sort of a lot of it was just they've obviously spent a lot of time with each other. They've probably gone through a lot together.
yeah,
They didn't even say that. I don't think they had like a sappy like moment really besides putting each other's foreheads on each other, doing the
They did the
uh,
they did the the pit.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
she gave him her seed.
I literally said the same thing.
um,
I
I
was like,
don't. Well, the thing is, the weight of the relationship makes more sense at the end for Dementus's killing,
yeah,
because not only did you take your mom, but now a person that you thought you were going to build life with. So I don't mind adding extra weight to the
I agree.
revenge or the vengeance there. So I didn't mind it. I don't, like I said, I think we could have just been good with the mom, um, but yeah, even the mom torture scene was kind of crazy too. Um,
There was a lot of torture in this movie. Oh, and that
yeah.
scene with the maggots. Ugh, yuck.
Well, okay,
But
and let me get this straight, because the woman under in the ground gave her
yeah,
the eyes when they were trying to pull her in.
yeah.
Was the plan to just eat her down there? I didn't understand,
It's an excellent question.
because what I'm
Uh,
guessing is anyone who dies in this world has to get eaten, because again, it's resources. And
yep.
but she was still technically alive. But I can't remember the dialogue that old lady was saying to her. She was saying something like, "Stay down here. It's like safe or something.
Yeah,
It'll be safer or better or something like
like
that."
safer, easier, whatever the case. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I need to watch that again.
It happened
Um,
so fast, so
it did.
I feel like there's something there, and I don't know if it had anything to do with Fury Road, but I don't remember people living under in those holes.
That's the thing with Fury Road. They really didn't spend time with any of this.
Mm-mm.
Like it was just Max is caught. The rig is gone.
Yeah.
Take my blood bag, and we're
And we're
out.
off. Well, yeah,
And
we're on this
that's
chase.
it.
Yeah.
Which is like this enriched it a ton. Like I
Mm.
bet when you rewatch Fury Road, whenever that is,
I'll watch
uh,
it soon. Yeah.
it's gonna be a really cool experience. Rogue One to Star Wars kind of like,
Mm,
but even
yeah.
more than that because Star Wars we had everything fleshed out.
Right.
This just made it a lot richer. I don't know how I'm like, let's get a ton of Mad Max anthologies. I don't know that I'm necessarily gonna be like hyped for some like War Boy a Mad Max Saga,
Yeah.
but I would like to see more of this world for sure.
Yeah. I feel
I
like
think there's
if
a
you're
lot.
gonna call it a Mad Max saga, I think their plan probably is to go, here's a Morton Joe, a Mad Max saga. Here's, you
Yeah.
know,
And I don't know
Dementus.
that like I'd be as excited for Morton Joe as Furiosa,
I'm
but
curious, man. I want to know more about his. I
yeah,
surprisingly, I want to know, because I think Immortan
here,
Joe's a great villain.
my thing, and this is usually it's the other way around. I don't think anyone's gonna go watch it.
Oh,
I
well,
don't
that
know
that
that like
that's true.
I don't think people are gonna watch that thing. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
No,
tough
that's
to,
actually a good point if we're gonna talk about business wise.
which usually I don't like. I don't even get into that stuff. It's been relevant in my mind lately with a lot of things, but I thought, yeah, this has a lot of franchise potential. I
Yeah,
also think that it beats the for whatever reason. I think there is a stigma against movies with a lot of sand and desert. I
we
think
get a
that
lot of
like,
sand and desert, Dune,
but I
Star
think that
Wars.
it can like where people like. I think seeing a movie that takes place in the desert can, and this is just observation stuff. I think it can turn people off. Like, it's just this wasteland desert sand. I'm Anakin on it. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
hate sand. No,
um,
that makes a lot of sense. Um, do you think that do you think there's any plans to do more Furiosa stuff as a sequel to Fury Road? Because I feel like you don't just start something. Because to me, and I don't know where George Miller's at, but to me,
yeah.
studios go, we want to continue and make more movies. What IP do we have that we could do it with? And they're like, well, Mad Max did really good. Well, let's do a Furiosa movie. And then what? Not cast Charlize Theron and maybe use more Anya Taylor Joy. It's just weird to me. I don't know how you would do that if that's the plan.
I think if they did a sequel to Fury Road, it'd probably be Charlize because I know she wanted to do it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know she wanted
Just
to do
from
more.
reading, yeah, she wanted to do more, but I think she was like not upset, mad, but I think she was disappointed. I read that she couldn't play the younger
The
but
younger
understood, or
version.
whatever the case. So I mean, that's a good sign. If she's game to do more, that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
I could see
Um,
them maybe pulling any of the characters, like if any of the brides had kids.
yeah, yeah. It's just man, it's tough for me because I think any of that is kind of a hard sell. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if like, okay, here's a Mad Max movie. I think of almost Planet of the Apes, where the new Planet of the Apes movie, it's like 300 years after Caesar.
Right.
That's not really a spoiler. It's just kind of what.
Oh,
And the new,
most recent
yeah,
one's
this new
300
one,
years
it's like
after.
300 years
Oh.
after or so.
Yeah.
The new ape does look like Caesar, um, and so I think that's a good thing for
Interesting.
them. But it is just like, oh, he's a new monkey, you know? Like, I don't know if they're like, hey, this is Mad Max world, but this is kid
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah.
like. I think there's a stunt aspect, and I think depending on how good it does in the box office, we'll see. But I think it would be pretty great, and I think they would make a lot of money, whether it's the right move or not, and whether George Miller wants to or not, because he's not super active with making movies.
He's getting up
Uh,
there in age.
if he did another one, I'm sure they would. I'm sure the studio will fight to get Tom Hardy to be in it.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think they need him per se, but I bet they would really fight for that.
Yeah, and they probably could pass the mantle again, you know, to
They probably could.
Timothy Chalamet as Mad Max.
It's gonna be
I'm just kidding.
Chalamet, Tom Holland, or I don't know,
Tom-
maybe Austin Butler. He's in a movie with
Oh
Tom
yeah,
Hardy
there
riding
you
a
go.
motorcycle soon.
He's Fade Rotha, so like you can have him more desert movies. That's the other thing too. I wonder how many of these actors like I won't shoot in the desert again. Like that'll be my last desert movie, you know? Because it's not
That's fair.
can't be
This is
easy.
a commitment.
Yeah.
I was watching some interviews last night after, or even the night before, whatever it was, and Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth, they're just talking about like it takes a special kind of crazy to like do this kind of movie, and like just hearing all the stories and things, I think it's clear that these kinds of movies are certainly more of a task than doing a drama. I know
Right.
they have different things, but like you're committing a lot. uh you have to stay in shape, you have to,
Right.
even though stunt performers are doing a lot of this work, you're still doing a lot. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
Yeah.
it's really hot, sand. You're right.
It's everywhere.
uh
I
I'm,
think man, Chris Hemsworth, you know it's funny too, that nose adds so much where it's
it
like
does.
it's hard to see Chris Hemsworth there unless they did other prosthetics. Um
Yeah.
but it's hard to see him. And then he's doing kind of like a British accent, and I do like with the teddy bear, if he's telling the truth, like he lost a family too, right? And he's like kind of like, oh, you're like me, you know, we're the same, you know, kind of thing. But even the choice for him to like have a seizure
Yeah.
when she was beating him
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
crazy. And then to me, I was like, oh no, is he gonna get an upper hand here where if she lets her guard down? That was another, like, the intensity is always there, which is cool. Because I was like, he could get out, he could try to fight her with the chains on, and I like that she thought ahead, and I think that shows her thinking ahead, like with a knife in her boot with nothing there, you know.
And I think,
I
yeah, that
love
goes
that.
with all of this, like just the survivability of it, and um even like her choice of like, not taking him. You could have taken me out in the night. She slashed his water. She just, took his
Messed up
bike
his,
out,
yeah,
and yeah, I think this is gonna be another movie for me that I think lasts the test of time and
yeah,
holds up, in 10 years, 20 years. Um,
agreed.
I don't have a bad thing to say about it. I really don't. Like, I really was nervous, and I know we talked about it early with the backdrop and the CG aspect of.
That's my
But
biggest gripe
even
though.
sometimes, and the funny part about it is it wasn't even, now that I think of it, the entire movie. It was certain moments for sure. But like when she was the third act, I felt was less of that. Like
Right.
when she's driving up the sand dune, when she's in the souped up car that she stole.
Yeah.
Uh, like it felt like less of that. Um, and I would be curious to be in the room when they're kind of George Miller's deciding on the style of the film and
Yeah.
everything, because there's no way that he could have not, like, he could have shot it exactly like Fury Road if he wanted to, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he didn't, and I don't think that it took away from the movie, which
No,
is good.
it's more additive than it is
Yeah.
subtractive. Um, I gave this a 8.5 out of 10. What are you giving it if you had to score it?
See, 8.5 sounds nice to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Part of me wants to give it an extra extra points because it did so many things that I love that I don't think happen often. Doing a prequel that adds to the story to this amount, to this degree, and enhancing the original, that it's being a prequel to,
Yeah.
I don't think happens enough. And if they do, not to this degree, without even weighing me down with exposition, um, I don't want to give it a 9 if. Oh man, it's so
Like
tough.
8.75.
I don't want to be that guy either. That's too many decimals. If I had to, if you put a gun to my head and you're like, rate the movie, I'd give it I'd give it an 8.5 too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5 also.
Because I was like,
it's
I
better
don't,
than an 8.
I don't know if Fury Road is a 10.
Yeah.
I would say
I wouldn't
it's,
give it a 10 personally.
I think I would give it a 9 or 9.5. And this to
Same.
me feels like a small step down from it. So that's why I feel comfortable at an 8.5.
The funny thing is, I think in 10 years, I might, and who knows,
Change.
I might like Furiosa more than Fury Road.
I'm not mad about that.
But yeah, I think it's just it might just be the connection of the family aspect and the thing with the mother and the whole storyline there. Like that stuff tends to like stick with me longer.
Yeah.
And when I watched Fury Road, I was constantly in awe of the filmmaking aspect of it. But it's not like there's like a really deep story, I guess, that's pulling me there.
Sure.
But it's fantastic. It's fantastic. They both have their strengths. It's splitting hairs, but I think that's excellent though. When you have a movie as great as Fury Road and a prequel comes out and it's not like in comparison, it's like if you have The Dark Knight and then The Dark Knight Rises comes out and you're like, I know it's very different, but just there's so many times where a movie comes out and it just whatever. A prequel, it wasn't it. It held up, and so I think that's pretty awesome.
I'm gonna pitch another movie. I'll pitch another Mad Max movie.
All right.
Because you watch Fury Road.
Yeah.
Is the girl that she meets in Fury Road the girl that she was said like be like Stone?
You know what? I literally was like, I don't know. I meant to look that up.
Okay.
I don't remember, but
Okay.
I think it must have been. It must have been.
So, give me a movie, a Morton Joe, the same actress who plays, let's say, her sister, and then give me Timothy Chalamet or whatever male actor to play the hero of the story. Because in Fury Road the green place is gone. It's gone. I would love to know what happened there or what happens next. I want more from this world. I do, and I'm not sure what star you can use or who you can put here, but I would like to see more.
George Miller, 79.
He's old, man.
He is. I'm looking at his filmography and movies 79, 81, 83, 85. It's pretty active. 87, but then we get to 1992. He made a movie. 1998, then not again until 2006.
Yeah.
2011, that was kind of forced. 2015, and now pretty much 2024.
Maybe he has a protege. Maybe he has like a Dave Filoni hiding somewhere who can pick up the reins and continue this thing. Because I think the studio definitely wants to continue it, right? If it's going to make money. You
know what would be awesome, and you never know. Denis Villeneuve, I know it's a dream, but he specifically has said multiple times that if you could make a movie without dialogue, he would. Yeah. He thinks there's so much more to it. And so this feels like a Denis Villeneuve world.
Does. Yeah, it does.
And it feels like something that he probably is a massive fan of. Just knowing, watching interviews and sensibilities and things he's into.
Yeah.
I bet he would love to make a Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Because even Blade Runner, Ryan Gosling doesn't talk very much in that movie either. No. And that movie is one of my favorite cinematography movies, so it feels like almost the same world, with
obviously Dune and you have connections there. Yeah.
Ryan Gosling as Mad Max.
Dude, don't even get me started. I'm on board for that. Go watch The Fall Guy.
Plugging The Fall Guy. If you guys haven't seen it, I need to see it. The movies that Eli recommends have all been good, so I'll definitely check it out. Any final thoughts on this movie? I say if you guys haven't watched it, go watch it in the theater. It's worth seeing. I didn't know if it was worth seeing. It is definitely worth seeing in the theater.
If you haven't watched it and you watch this video,
Oh, that's crazy.
shame. But you should. You should watch it now because you're like, oh yeah, I guess.
Some people don't
Cool.
mind spoilers. It's different talking about it versus seeing it too. So it's like,
No shame. I said shame. I apologize. No shame. But please watch it.
yeah, go watch it. Support the movies. Support the movies. I almost said love this movie. I like this movie. I think I want to watch it a second time. I think I enjoyed it enough where eventually it'll just kind of grow on me. But I love Fury Road, and to me, this is more of that. It definitely it's additive than subtractive.
100%. 100%. I agree. I think that I will love this movie for sure. I think I will. If I don't already, I think I will. Once it comes out, this feels like a movie that I'm going to watch pretty often.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be awesome at home still, but I saw it in IMAX and like that was great. Sound design was fantastic. I think this is a great movie. Great summer movie, great anytime movie. I would watch it again in theaters. I hope I do. You just don't see this much care put into every aspect often. You'll see movies with, oh, there's great stunts, there's a great fight scene, but like the story went whatever.
Yeah.
Or you'll see like, oh, great story, which I know we've talked about this stuff a lot. And I know it's a big thing for you, but you're like, okay, it was there, fight choreography, like the choreography of the action, whatever. This thing had pretty much all the aspects were of a certain level and above.
Yeah.
You know, he's obviously thought about this movie for a long time. Been, like you said, nearly a decade between.
Yeah.
I give it 2 thumbs up.
You know, funny thing too, if we didn't have a Fury Road, we would probably like love this movie.
Dude, you're right. You're right. And that's a great point. That's a great point.
Because it's only in comparison of Fury Road, which is amazing.
Which is a thing. Like, that's so good. And we still are feeling this way about the movie. Tells you how good the movie is.
Yeah. To me, one watch isn't enough because, again, it's a 2.5 hour movie. And to soak it all in one night, I think with a second viewing, I think it'll only get better. So,
and the cool thing about that too, real quick before we go, also is like, one, it's awesome that it enriches that movie, but there's something so cool about you don't have to see. It's not like a movie that you have to see it 3 times to understand it or anything like that. But it's where like you watch this movie and they're like, oh, I want to watch Mad Max again. Then you watch Mad Max, like, oh, that was so cool because it enhanced it. And like, actually, now when we watch Furiosa again, because Mad Max is gonna like it. It's so cool. It's so cool. I love that. No,
definitely recommend. It gets a stamp of approval here on the Raincore channel. Eli, where can people find you?
You can find me at the Fan Awakens everywhere. And soon, thefanawakens.com is going to be making a comeback. You heard it here first. I haven't talked about that.
Exclusive.
But, we're going to be doing reviews, lots of lists, and just random things. I love to write. I can write things kind of quick. So that's where I'm going to... I struggle to make videos every week. So I'm going to make sure I'm writing every week and then videos in between. So that's where you can find me. And Twitch. Uncle_Sheev. I'm there often.
Definitely support him. You can support this channel by subscribing to the Raincore YouTube channel. You can also follow Raincore on Instagram, REIGNCORE, and then maybe support the channel by grabbing a shirt at raincoreclothing.com. Please, again, like, subscribe, comment. It helps us out here so that we know that you guys want to see me and Eli talk more movies. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Witness me. Bye, guys.